Well, my name's Annie Booth, and I'm a pianist and composer and educator, and I've been working with Colorado Conservatory for the Jazz Arts for almost 7 years now, in a bunch of different capacities as a program assistant and as a faculty member now, or, back in the day I was a near-peer mentor. Now I'm a faculty member and director of the Shebop Young Women in Jazz Workshop. So it's kind of the educational side of what I do. And then, the other side of what I do is playing jazz and composing, and also teaching jazz piano privately too. So that's me. I know you were in the middle of introducing yourself, so maybe you can kind of finish introducing yourself or reintroducing yourself.
Okay, yeah. I'm Camilla Vaitaitis. I've been only on staff with CCJA for like a year and a half now, or two. I don't know yet. Like a year maybe.
Yeah.
And I grew up doing CCJA also. And like Annie, I'm also a piano player and composer. And I run the vocal program with CCJA. And yeah, I play jazz and teach a lot of like beginning piano students also. It's another big thing in my life. And then I also have like an indie rock band, so I try to like stay active doing other forms of music too. So that's
your indie rock band is Pacific Ocean, right?
Yep.
It's awesome. That's it.
Nice little pun.
Such a good band. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we don't have a ton of people here, but hi everybody.
Hi
let
everyone.
us know if you have any questions about anything, and we'll answer them throughout the interview. But if you don't mind, real quick, I just kind of want to talk about like why I wanted to do CCJA Sundays and like what the goals are basically. So I wanted to, I guess we all like in brainstorming and meetings wanted to find a way to connect a wider community to what CCJA does. And since so much of everything is like online now, I took like a seminar about how to engage audiences online, and forgot like totally how you can use Instagram Live to connect to people, and like you can be anywhere in the world. So the way we're going to structure it is to do 2 interviews per month with like a local jazz musician, like a Denver staple, or like a national or internationally renowned jazz musician. So that's going to be really cool.
Cool.
And then we're going to also have a master class. So this month, Gabe Mervine is teaching a master class on the 13th about techniques for tune memorization and like developing ear training, which will be really cool. And then we're also doing a CCJA book club, which will meet on September 27th. And our book this month is Playing Changes by Nate Sheinin. I don't know how to say his last name, actually.
I don't know either. I'm excited for the book club. I'm excited to read it.
Yeah, I haven't started reading yet. Have you?
I haven't either, but that's on my docket for this week to start.
Cool. Sweet. So can you kind of talk about Shebop and how it started and what your goals were and just like all of it?
Yeah, so Shebop is the full name of it is the Shebop Young Women in Jazz Workshop. And we started it up through CCJA about 3 years ago. So 2017 was our first workshop. And it was kind of just a shot in the dark. Like I kind of didn't know if anyone would sign up for it, if there was this interest. But I've just, wanted to create a space. The goal is to create a really amazing space for young women and women who are playing jazz to connect young women who are learning this art form, whether they're in middle school or high school or in college, and kind of starting their journey as professional musicians, to connect them with professional women who are playing the music and who are writing and gigging and performing and all that stuff, because it's really important to have mentors. And that's there's so many studies that have been done that we find our most success when we can see other people that are like us being successful. And that's something I didn't have any female mentors when I was growing up. I just didn't have any, and I didn't have any female professors in college, or I was the only woman in my college jazz program. So I really wanted to create this space, not because women need to be isolated, but because there's so much positivity that comes when you can connect with others who are like you and maybe have some shared experiences. So we started in November 2017. We had 25 young women that year.
So cool.
I was blown away because I thought, okay, maybe 5 people will sign up, but whatever, we'll do it anyways. And so it was just a one-day workshop that year in 2017. And then in March 2019, we did kind of the full version of what it has become now, which is a whole weekend in the spring. And it's a Friday night, kind of kicking off the weekend all day Saturday. And then there's a bonus performance on Sunday in the past years at Dazzle Jazz Club, which is really special experience. And we were able to do it this past March 2020, literally right before kind of everything started to turn upside down. I'm really grateful for that because it was kind of one of my last experiences.
Wasn't it also International Women's Day?
It was, yeah. Was trying really hard to sync it up with International Women's Day. So the performance was on Sunday, March 8th. I know you had your master's recital that day too, which was that's so special. And it really just the sight of it. Every Shebop workshop that we do, I kind of say it jokingly, but I always end up in tears of joy, because it's just a really special experience. And that night specifically at Dazzle, we had almost 40, well, including our faculty, we had over 40 women and young women on the stage.
That's amazing.
You can't help but be moved by that because it's really a special sight. So and we've since teamed up with Jazz Aspen Snowmass. And last October, we did kind of a satellite version for young women up there in the Roaring Fork Valley. And we're excited to continue that and to keep building on the Shebop kind of just culture and community. It's been really special. And having different female faculty members has been really important. We brought in Susan Richardson, who's a fellow CCJA alum. I did CCJA at the same time as her. She's in Portland, Oregon, amazing drummer, incredible creative musical force. So it was cool to bring her out and just kind of to keep that going with connecting all sorts of different women jazz musicians. So yeah.
That's so cool. I remember going to the girls' jam back in I want to say November, maybe?
Yeah. I think that's right.
It was so cool because the youngest person there was probably 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she was a 5th grader maybe, or 4th grader.
Yeah. And I just think back to that age, if I had that type of example.
I know.
How much of an impact I would have on confidence and being able to feel I see people like me doing this, so I can do this too. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, to not have that hurdle that I know a lot of us and a lot of just a lot of other women that we know who are professional musicians, kind of you have to get past that hurdle. It's hard, it's really a real thing that that you belong in this music and that you can feel confident to move forward with it. I think about that all the time with seeing these young women and them kind of creating these really cool friendships out of this and starting bands. Some of them have started their own bands together that they met in Shebop, and that just
that's so cool.
Warms my heart to to the highest point. So it's cool. And like you mentioned, girls jams, that's something we've done a few of. We've been talking about hosting some more this fall. And that's just really cool because that's for women of every age. And like you said, we had a 10-year-old gal there, and then we had I think a gal who's in her 60s who's learning the saxophone for the first time, and that was so cool just to have this big spread of all these different backgrounds, and then we can kind of just get together and have a jam session. So it's become a huge passion, I think, of mine, is kind of keeping this movement going. It's just so cool.
Kat says, "Yay, Shebop jam!"
Yeah, Kat.
When I was there, usually if I'm at a jam session, I have a little bit of underlying anxiety,
totally.
Even if I'm surrounded by my best friends. But being in that environment, there was no sense of judgment whatsoever. It was the most pure feeling. Everyone was just comfortable.
Yeah. And everyone was it was just this sense of I think for some people it was like a newer experience, like going to a jam session. And so they felt really, you know, like kind of a little bit intimidated by just jumping in maybe to one of the sessions around town. So that's really amazing to have that place where it's like you can learn jam session etiquette and you can kind of, you know, feel less anxiety maybe about the experience.
Totally.
Because there is that thing, you know, I don't know if I'm sure you've experienced this, but like, if I'm in a different city, if I'm traveling for a gig or whatever, or visiting friends and I go to a jam session and I'm like, I want to play, this is, you know, it would be really fun. Get up to the stage to play. And if, you know, obviously if I'm in a different city, like most people don't know who you are.
Right.
There's just like this instant judgment about you not being able to play.
Yeah.
I had this, I went to a session back in January in a different city, and I had this happen. I was the only woman at the entire session the whole night. Maybe there was one other gal who sat in later, but you know, and they kind of talked a little bit down, like, do you know, I think it was I Hear Rhapsody. They're like, do you know that song? Is that going to be okay for you? Is that something that, you know? And it's just like, I learned that song when I was like 18. Of course, like, yeah, sure, what key, whatever, you know. So there is that element that it's like it can sometimes be you get this judgment before you even get to play. Sometimes being a woman, so the girls' jam is just none of that exists. It's so cool.
Totally, yeah, like it's so deeply ingrained. It's like, and I think we're kind of subconsciously almost trained to like view other women as competition.
Definitely.
So I think that having a place where like the women surrounding you are there to just like be your friends and make music with you, and there's no competitive nature, is like, it kind of puts us on an equal playing field, like for the first time. And
definitely.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that you started Shebop. Like, it is the coolest thing ever.
Well, it was, you know, it was executive director of CCJA, Chris Romaines. It was her idea for so long. And, you know, and Unha So was, when she was working with CCJA, we kind of have been talking about this, the three of us, a lot, and just trying to figure out how to do it and, you know, how to make it right and how to, you know, just how to make it the right experience. And so, you know, I'm grateful it's because of Chris's kind of experiences and her empathy towards over all the years of the 20 years of CCJA, seeing like, you know, that there's not a lot of young women that have been participating in CCJA's programming. There just hasn't been statistically. And then, you know, and trying to kind of her trying to reach out to those young women and seeing like, you know, what makes them tick, or what makes them nervous, what makes them anxious, what makes them quit playing jazz, you know, at a certain point. Because sometimes that happens. A lot of times that happens. Yeah. So so it was really, you know, it's really like Chris's vision, and then it was just really great to kind of just throw it out to the wind and see if it would come up with something.
Yeah, and it totally did. And Kat just mentioned in the comments like that it kind of mirrors issues for women in science, and that's something my mom's like a researcher in autoimmune stuff.
Oh wow,
she's so smart.
That's
I don't
so
really know how to talk about what she does. But she talks to me about this a lot, and like that I think it's probably true of most industries. Yes. But it's really cool. I see leaders in like every field, and it's like, it feels like kind of a privilege to be the generation right now who can like make an impact and kind of like make a change and make it more comfortable for like the next generation of women. And I feel like it's a big responsibility, but it's like, I don't know, I'm super passionate about it and making like women feel comfortable, like if they're freshmen coming into a new class at DU, like making sure they feel good.
Yeah, like you were in that role. So you just finished your master's at DU. Congratulations, by the way.
Congratulations.
So you were thank you. So you were in that role, like as a mentor, as a, you know, someone who's kind of helping them have maybe a different experience than you had when you were their age.
Right.
So that's so cool.
Yeah, and that's what you're doing too. It's like, and I see all my women friends around jazz like doing that.
Yeah.
And being passionate about it. It's really, really awesome.
It is really cool. It's definitely, you know, like I said, just another facet, I think, of my career that is really important to me, just as, you know, composing is really important to me, or you know, that's just up there too, that kind of advocacy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Speaking of composing, have you been working on anything like during the pandemic, or has this been like more of a period to regroup?
It's kind of been a period of regrouping. I think in general, I was like writing so much like leading up to it. Like I was cranking out like big band charts, and I was, I was just working on big projects. Specifically, large group writing is kind of what I was doing, and then it just kind of stopped. And I'm one of those people that I don't know if you're this way. You might be this way too, where I'm very driven by having like deadlines and having like things that are ahead of me, like, oh, well, I have to finish this by this date in order to have it rehearsed by, whatever. So when that kind of all went away, I definitely lost a huge chunk of my motivation, but it's been kind of cool to confront that. And it's like, well, why am I motivated? Am I motivated by just having my music heard, or, can I just be creating for the sake of creating? So I've been doing some writing. I kind of more recently, actually, more in this like later part of the summer, I've been just writing like little tunes and kind of and writing some more big band charts, just in the hopes that can kind of start up again soon. But I know you did, like, kind of when we were in the height of the quarantine type era, you were doing some tunes, right? Like were you calling them quarantunes?
Yeah, right? Quarantunes. Yeah.
That is awesome.
I was like, I felt like with the break that the quarantine gave me, I like became re-inspired to do music. Like,
wow.
Like the drag of just like constantly go. I don't think I had a day off for like 3 months. Like,
yeah, I felt that way too. Yeah.
And once I had the time and space to not have to write for anybody or anything, I just like suddenly felt invigorated to do that. Kat just asked a good question. We should definitely get to that. But yeah, I like asked all my Instagram followers for title prompts.
I remember this. That's
I tried
so awesome.
to write a tune based on the title.
That's fun.
I got about 10 tunes in, and then like started feeling the weight of like, when am I gonna play these with people?
Right.
So it kind of fell off, and I started making like really goofy acapella videos of like SpongeBob songs and stuff.
I love those. Those gave me so much life. The rip my pants video.
But yeah, I haven't written for big band at all since my recital.
Yeah.
But I really hope to, like, in the next couple of years, have enough tunes to do like a recording session with a big band.
Oh yeah, I don't think you're far off from that at all, right?
I think I just need like 2 more charts that I'm happy with. Yeah.
Especially because they can be, long compositions, and kind of be 8-minute pieces or what have you, so you don't need 10, for an album. You can kind of get away with less. That's awesome. I think that's an awesome, like, tangible sort of goal.
Are you going to plan to do any kind of recording with your big band?
Eventually, yeah. I have one project that's like in the docket first. Before that, I wrote this piece for a 10-piece ensemble, so still fairly large, that I premiered back in 2018, and it's called Flowers of Evil. And it's a piece I wrote. It's all up on my YouTube channel, so if anyone wants to watch it, it was just the live debut that we did at the Boulder, the Dairy Arts Center in Boulder. But it's based on poetry, so it's based on the poetry of French poet Charles Baudelaire, 19th century French poet. It's very weird, dark, cool, beautiful poetry. And I received some funding to record that. I was supposed to be recording it this month, 2020, but I'm pushing that back. Just because the vocalist Catherine Radakovich, she lives out in Philly, and so and it's a 10-piece group, so getting that all in one room is still a little bit funky. So that's kind of on my docket first, is to get a studio recording of that. It has strings and brass and it's kind of chamber jazz. That's sort of the word I use to describe it. It has improvisation in it, and it's very much like the jazz, like my jazz sort of language that I write from, but it's very much like classical music too at the same time, chamber music. So my hopes is to record that hopefully early 2021, and then eventually, I'd love to do a big band record. I'd love to, get so Camilla was playing in my big band, and we had a monthly gig at the Mercury Cafe in Denver, one of my favorite live music places in the whole world, especially in Denver. We were doing, every month, and that was so cool to have that traction of working with the band every month. And I was hoping to write more and more, and so fingers crossed that kind of thing can exist soon.
Playing at the City Park Jazz, like, live stream that we did with your band was like soul rejuvenating. It was like, I haven't been in a room with this many people.
I know. I'm amazed that, you know, we did it. So for anyone who didn't catch that, back in July, we were supposed to do City Park Jazz this summer, and we ended up doing a live stream from the Oriental Theater, and we had a socially distant big band. It was pretty wild and so cool, just so cool to see like all of these people that I love so dearly, and get to make music together. So that, yeah, I agree, that definitely filled me up too.
We should get to Kat's question real quick.
Yeah.
He said, what tools, mental, technological, etc., do you use to keep all the big band parts straight? So many different keys for different instruments. How? Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll speak a little bit to it, and then I'd love to hear you too. So Kat, like, well, and for this, in general, this question. So I think part of it is like, you know, when I first kind of started learning about arranging, you know, really diving into like instrument ranges. That's really important. You know, like, what is the range of a tenor saxophone? What is the range of the trombone? You know, third trombone versus lead trombone, or what have you? Kind of learning the ranges of all these instruments. And then also, you know, learning the transpositions of all these instruments, so that you know, what is it going to look like in a transposed score when everyone's reading the B flat or E flat parts, or, you know, bass clef, learning, kind of really becoming familiar with those. And there's some great, you know, resources, tools out there. Or really, maybe you worked out of this book, but I think it's called Jazz Arranging Techniques. Gary Lindsay, yep. Blue cover. It's a fantastic arranging book. So that's one you can find online. And it goes through, it kind of starts right there from that groundwork of like learning ranges, and then learning what sounds good, you know, within a big band texture. So not doing clustered voicings far, you know. Oh yeah, Derek agrees. That book is great. It's fantastic. Fantastic place to jump into this. And so, you know, learning what sounds good when you spread out a voicing over a big band, having those wider intervals in the lower voices, and then you can get, you know, closer and crunchier up top. So that's a great place to start. And then, yeah, I'd love to hear you kind of continue with that. The technology, maybe the technology aspect, or how you write, how you compose.
Yeah, I guess I'm like really, really reliant on notation software at this point. I don't usually write away from my computer now. And like, I think there's been a lot of discussion. Like, my teacher, Dave Hansen, and I would always talk about how we use Sibelius for like everything now.
Yeah.
And I don't, if I'm writing like a new tune, I won't be like at my computer. I'll just kind of be playing. But I think when it comes to arranging, I, at this point, like write directly into the software. I don't know. What do? Do you ever write pen and paper still?
I'm kind of like a hybrid. I have to be in front of a piano.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, that's, I think, just that connection with the piano. I have to be in front of a piano. I always have my manuscript notebook in front of me, and I will write, you know, I'll play voicings on the piano and then like notate them down in my notebook. Like, okay, this is the trumpet voicing right here. This is the brass voicing.
Right.
And then I have my computer right in front of me on top of my piano, and I'm usually standing and kind of have this like flow workstation thing kind of moving around a little bit. And then I kind of just immediately plug it in there. So yeah, it's a very similar approach, it sounds like, to what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know
it's a lot to keep straight, but I feel like once you know like the techniques, it's just like you already have those tools, so you kind of know what to do.
And I found that like the more I do it, well, my ear has gotten so much better from writing big band music. I was talking about this with Ben Markley, who's an amazing pianist and composer, teaches at University of Wyoming. I was talking about this with him a few months ago, that like, you just hear things differently once you're in there, you're in the thick of it, and you're writing for, you know, this large of an ensemble. You're trying to hear voicings, and you're hearing sometimes voicings that don't work, that might work on the piano, but they're not going to work, you know, when you spread them in a sax section or what have you. So it's cool. And the more you do it, I think the easier that flow becomes.
Yeah.
At least that's been my experience.
I think one thing I had to get over that I remember being like a huge barrier my first year of my master's was like forgetting that like doubling pitches is fine. I was always like,
I
I was like, how do I voice this message?
Yeah.
And then I was like, Camilla, unison is okay.
The world needs unison, right?
Yeah,
The world needs some more unison, and it's going to actually sound fantastic. You know, you get a whole sax section play unison. That sounds great. You know, I feel like I was in that exact boat when I first started, that I was just trying to make everything denser and, you know, complex. And it's like, no, you have to have a little contrast.
Have you like found yourself like having, like, I don't know, I don't want to frame it in a negative way at all. Like, just like the way Maria writes, her compositions will always be like, the solo section is built in to the form of the piece, and like is super important for like the way the piece progresses and builds. Like, do you have things you find yourself like becoming like your style, like that you keep doing, that might be like the signature Annie Booth thing?
Maybe. That's an awesome question. I love that when great big band pieces, I feel like all of them sort of do that, right? They kind of like, it's like the solo section has to happen here. There's nothing else that makes sense for it. So that is something I do think about a lot in my pieces. I think maybe as like the form aspect of that, I'm still like a newbie, you know, with my big band writing. Like, I haven't necessarily honed in on like what makes my big band writing different in terms of form. I think maybe some of the stuff that I do a lot or tend to do, or kind of becomes my sound, might be more harmonic based, or textures. For a while when I was in my early 20s, every song it seemed like I wrote would have some vamp, you know, at the end that the drummer would blow over. And then it's like, at a certain point, it's like, I have to stop writing this, because it's like so cliche, but you know, it's not. It's a great tool. It's a great way of tying a piece together and showcasing a drummer, but I was just doing it too much. So there's like certain things that I'm trying to not, you know, do too much of. But what about you? What do you think about that?
Oh,
like, what are some of your signature things?
I feel like I don't have enough written yet to even know what it would be.
That's how I feel too.
I am playing a few gigs this month at Nocturne, and I was sending out my charts to Mike and Bijou, and
that's Mike Marlier and Bijou Barbosa, right?
Yeah. And I realized,
it's gonna
be
amazing.
I know, I'm kind of like terrified, but really excited.
Oh, it's gonna be. I can't wait to come next week. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be fun. But I realized like most of the charts I've been writing in the past like 2 years are in 3/4, with some like other time signature changes, like maybe within the form. But I like have a thing for 3 right now.
I love it
too. I don't know how to get out of it. Like,
Art Landy told me that once, because I have so many tunes in 3/4. I love it too. And Art Landy told me once, he's like, "Oh, you love 3/4 because you're a girl. Girls love 3/4." And like, I was like, well, I don't know. That might be
maybe
true,
that's a thing. I don't know.
Maybe it's a thing, but yeah. I mean, I love, or even 5. You know, because 5 can kind of feel like 3. It has that lilt to it. So
I love soloing in 3. Like,
I
feel like I'm more rhythmically creative, and I'm like freer in 3 for some reason.
I feel the same way. That's really fun.
Yeah. Cool. Hi, everybody. If you're just joining us, this is CCJA Sunday with Annie Booth and Camilla Vaitaitis. And if you guys have any questions, feel free, or comments or anything you guys want us to talk about, or anything in the future that you're hoping to see from us. Hey, Tania.
Hey, Tania.
Another amazing female piano player.
Sister piano player. In Denver. That's awesome.
Yeah. Feel free to like, does 3 have a built-in triplet feel?
I think it can. I mean, just like 4/4 can, if you know, depending on what the style, like if you're swinging, you know, if you're swinging, then certainly that triplet, or you're depending on your tempo too, right? Because if you're in a fast 3, it's going to feel more like 1. You're not going to want to, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but.
No, I agree. I think like I've been really obsessed with Chick Corea's comping on like Sweet Rain. Do you know that record?
I don't.
It's like a Dan Getz album.
But is that like early Chick Corea-ish?
Yeah.
Young-ish?
Yeah, like I love early Chick comping that's like super rooted in triplets. And I feel like I've been comping with like a huge triplet subdivision like every time I play right now. That's like
great.
I'm obsessed with right now.
Let me ask you this. Do you transcribe like comping, like the rhythmic, you know, aspect of someone's comping or the voicings too?
Not often. It's something I probably should do more. I think I listen to it so much that I internalize it.
Definitely.
What about you? Do you?
I think so. Yeah, I've done quite a bit before of just mapping out the rhythms, which has been kind of a fun exercise, especially like I've done some with Herbie Hancock, like on like the Miles second quintet, like you know, it's really creative comping and just pretty wild, you know. So I've done some of that just to kind of explore like what is he doing, like how much space is he leaving, because I think sometimes I overcomp. I think all of us will overcomp, you know, just so you just kind of have to be like conscious of it, like, you know, when to leave space. But that's something that's one of my goals with my own practicing, is to kind of, you know, do some more transcribing of voicings and the rhythm. Great compers.
Yeah, I've been comping, like, I feel like because I haven't been playing with people, I get like really excited.
Me too. It's like, it feels so, you know, you feel so good. You're like, I don't know if I'm gonna have this experience ever again. I better eat all of the ice cream. Right. Like, it kind of feels like that, you know?
Yeah, I was on a gig yesterday, and on the way home, we're good. Sorry. Oh
no, I lost you for a second.
Sorry.
Yay. Oh, you're fine.
On my way home, I was telling my friend in the car, I was like, I played so many notes today. Like, I just played too much, because I'm like eating it up. I'm like, people.
Yeah. It's so good. It's like what we do, and we haven't been able to do it as in even a fraction of as much as we normally do. So yeah it's understandable.
Tania asked who our favorite composers are.
You go first.
I really love Wayne Shorter tunes.
He has the best titles for his tunes, I feel like.
I know.
They're just so good.
Yeah.
And they're great. They're amazing tunes, too, obviously.
And I really like Kenny Wheeler a lot.
Me, too. Yes.
Every time I'm feeling, like, sentimental in the morning, I put on, like, music for large and small ensembles.
That is my desert island. Yeah.
And then, like, I got super into Klaus Ogerman lately.
Very cool.
Like, have you heard the Shebop self-titled album? That's some, like, crazy Ogerman stuff.
Beautiful. It's awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
Kenny Wheeler. I was going to say Kenny Wheeler is, like, my all-time favorite composer, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe all-time favorite musician. I'm, like, just always kind of in an upset. Yeah, music for large and small ensembles is, like, that will, like, recenter me if I listen to it. I just, like, I'm like, oh, especially, like, that opening movement. Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
Sweet. I love Carla Bley. She's like someone I've just kind of only recently, maybe in the past couple of years, been getting into. Her compositional sense is just so amazing. It's just all over the map, simple, but then, you know, just so wild and so lush. And so, yeah, Carla Bley, Maria Schneider is one of my all-time favorite composers. Gosh, classical music, Ravel. One of my favorite composers.
For me too. That's like one classical guy.
I was digging into some Ravel, you know, just like you can grab some voicings and stuff from Ravel. It's wild, you know. It's just like, oh, here's this dominant 13 voicing that, you know, Ellington, very, you know, and there's that kind of connection. Ellington, of course, is on my list. I think all of my favorite songs are Ellington or Strayhorn compositions. So all my favorite ones to play as a pianist, like in a trio setting. So Tania says Ravel is my dude.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite tune right now that your favorite to play right now?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I just learned I'm Glad There Is You. That was a really beautiful ballad. So I've been kind of calling that when I have gigs, and I've been digging ballads, and Prelude to a Kiss is like one of my all-time favorite ballads. I always call that. So I'm trying to learn some more tunes right now. Like, me
too. I'm like on a tune kick right now.
I love that. What have been some of your new favorites?
Do you know the ballad When Sunny Gets Blue?
I know it. I don't like know it on the piano, but
I like don't know it on the piano either. I've been like really into guitar lately, and so I just like comp through and sing it. And it's like my favorite tune to do that with right now. And my favorite tune to play for like a while has been Summer in Central Park by Horace Silver.
Oh, that's a great tune too.
Which
I
is
don't
also
know that
in
one.
3.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I love Simone too, which is
oh,
great.
that's like
3,
the
4
Frank
tune.
Foster. Wait.
Yeah, Frank Foster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's kind of been my favorite 3/4 like thing that I've just.
I forgot about that tune. I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah, it's the great jazz bass player in Denver, Mark Simon. That's one of his favorite tunes. His granddaughter's named Simone. So every time I play with him, I'm like, let's play Simone.
I remember being in his CCJA group when I was like a sophomore in high school, and he brought that tune in and told us.
With Mark Simon? Oh,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Simon Says. That's the name of his CCJA group every time.
So amazing.
So, yeah, that was a great question. I think Tania asked that, right? Favorite composers and tunes. Got into tunes.
Ooh, CC.
Kat played it. That's great. That's awesome. So yeah, so for anyone who, is maybe jumping in and isn't familiar with Colorado Conservatory for the Jazz Arts, or CO Jazz Arts, as we are on Instagram, we're a nonprofit that's been around for 2 decades now, so celebrating our 20th year. And we've primarily always focused on jazz education for middle schoolers and high school students. And what's kind of resulted is this amazing community, this amazing ecosystem, I think, of jazz musicians here in the Denver area. As Camilla said, both of us did CCJA in high school. It's kind of the reason that I think, for me, it's the reason I'm a professional jazz musician.
Yeah, me too.
Because it just gave me, it gave me that push and that community to play this music, which I loved so much, but I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a place to really play it outside of my high school band, which was like a little limiting. So that's kind of the bulk of what CCJA does. We do small group programming in the fall, winter, and spring, a bunch of summer camps and summer programming, and throughout the whole summer, some stay away camps, some day camps, and that kind of thing. And then we just started an adult group last summer 2019, and Catherine Ellis is kind of been the amazing force behind that and singing in it, and it's been so cool to see that also that other leg of the community come together. So I know the adult combo, they're rehearsing on Monday nights, and they're going to perform in a few weeks, I think the 28th. So I'm really excited to hear them, because they've been working together like all summer. They're a tight
group.
Band. Yeah, they're a band now, it sounds like. So that's so cool. So shout out to the CCJA adult combo out there.
Yeah.
And my student Kurt is on here. Hi, Kurt. Hey, Kurt, how's it going? Kurt's awesome jazz pianist. He's been just tearing it up, playing some blues and Cantaloupe Island, and just it's been awesome to work with Kurt for a few months here. So hey, how's it going?
I have like 23 students starting this week.
Oh my gosh,
That's
Zoom. Amazing. Zoom.
It's like a lot.
That's a lot. That is so many students.
But yeah, some of them are 15 minutes because they're like brand new beginners.
Oh, that's okay. That's a little, it's not 23 1-hour lessons.
No, that would be like impossible for me.
Yeah.
Cool. What else were we going to talk about? I guess everything's uncertain right now, but like we both just got our masters in composition. We talked about like your recording plans and stuff. Do you have any this is kind of an annoying question, I feel like, but do you have any like big career goals or anything like that you're hoping to do?
I don't know. It's just sort of, everything is so wishy-washy right now. It feels so weird. Like, it just feels weird, like thinking about the future, which is something you have to do with anything, right? To plan and, plan projects in advance. So yeah, I think just like short term, there's just 2 recording projects I want to just get out there. Like I said, my project Flowers of Evil, which I'm really excited about. It's kind of the biggest thing I think I've done compositionally so far. And I'm really proud of it. So I want to get it, I want to get into the studio, and I'm going to write 2 more movements for it. So it's a 6 movement piece, and I want it to be 8. So it kind of fills a full album. So yeah, that's kind of it. I just started this semester teaching some jazz piano at the University of Northern Colorado.
Nice.
Remote. So I'm really excited about that, and getting to work with some really talented students up there and be part of that great program. And so, yeah, it's just kind of like, I guess I feel like I'm floating along, right now, just trying to work on some goals and you know, where I can, but sort of seeing how the chips fall.
Yeah. Kat just said, if someone is a beginner piano player but only wants to play jazz, do they have to go through classical training? Is there a jazz specific track?
What do you think about that?
I start a lot of kids on piano and they're really young, so I like don't have as much experience with like a kid who only wants to do jazz. I would say like if you have the foundation of piano, which does include like reading, technique, I feel like either track starts in the same place, kind of.
Yeah.
And then you can go either way from there. I like never had formal classical training. I just had like kid lessons and then I jumped into class.
I was kind of similar. Yeah, I had like kid lessons and I hated them. And I quit those at a certain point. And then in middle school, I started playing in the jazz band. I was actually playing the saxophone. I played clarinet in like through middle school and high school and college. But I was playing sax in the jazz band, and then I don't know why I jumped on the piano, and then I just found my groove kind of playing jazz because I loved it. Like just got to make stuff up. That was always what I like, you know, would do in my like little kid piano lessons. I would just like change endings and like play things an octave lower, an octave, just because I wanted to like, I was like, well, I think it sounds better like this, because some of those songs are pretty lame, you know.
They're so lame. Like, I always feel bad when I can't let a kid pass a song yet because it's like not ready. Yeah. But it's just like, I don't want to be playing this either. Like I get it.
Yeah. So I do think like, so I didn't really learn classical music until I went to college. I went to the University of Colorado in Boulder. And at the time, like the jazz program there is very different now than it was back then. At the time, I was like the second group to go through getting a bachelor's in jazz. And so it was very much still rooted in classical music. Like I had to take, you know, I think 2 years with one of the classical professors. And I was just really far behind because I just didn't play that music, but it was really good for my technique to do that and to learn some stuff. Because I was kind of self-taught in some ways with just the way I played the piano. But I do think that you can, you know, there's technical stuff with jazz that you can learn and work on that serve jazz. And I like feel very passionate about that because, you know, as classical musicians play scales and arpeggios as their technical exercises, and etudes, of course, specifically talking about pianists here, but, you know, really with any instrument. And that kind of makes sense on some level because you find those type of things in that music. You find like scalar passages in Mozart, right? Like you're gonna just rock a major scale from top to bottom, maybe at some point. In jazz, that's not so much the case, right? We're not gonna necessarily do that. So I do think you can, you know, there's ways to work on technique within a context of jazz that are gonna serve that purpose, where you can learn more about the harmony and the language and the rhythm while like working on your technique at the same time. That's something I like to do in my own like practicing, is I like to write etudes for myself and work them up to tempo, whatever I'm trying to work on. Maybe it's hand independence or it's tempo, you know, or stringing eighth notes together, or I'm working on a specific set of chord changes. But yeah, that's an interesting question. I like that.
Yeah, I write etudes for myself too sometimes.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Do they ever turn into songs? Like, do you ever kind of?
I feel like maybe like jump? Sometimes they'll like a little line from it could like inspire something, but I don't have like an example of that really. Do you?
I don't really either. No, they kind of just live in my notebook as etudes. But
yeah, it's good. It's like Eric Gunnison would always tell me to like, I'd be like, Eric, I need help. Like, I don't know. I need to get my 16th note playing together. And he's like, write an etude where you have a course of straight 16th notes. Yeah. And then learn it. And then you do that and then you have it. And you get to work on your technique the whole time. Yeah.
And you're like flexing your composition muscle too, right? You're like, you're kind of, you're working on that too. Like composition is just like, you know, working on playing, that you just got to do it really regularly and, you know, not wait for inspiration to hit you. You have to kind of just like create it yourself.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's been almost 50 minutes. We've been like,
oh my gosh, we've been gabbing it up.
It's like flying by.
Holy cow.
Does anyone else have any more questions? Feel free to drop them in the comments.
Yeah.
You inspire me as well. Thank you for saying.
Aww. Yeah, any questions about CCJA or, yeah, jazz, anything?
Do you have any gigs coming up that you want to talk about?
Oh my gosh, I really do not. Like, I have a couple like private events. That I'm playing, and that's pretty much it. I'm hoping to kind of I haven't really been doing too many live streaming things, like a couple just at other places. We did one at Nocturne with my trio, did one at Mighty Fine Productions, and then obviously the City Park Jazz. But I'm kind of hoping to start kind of my own thing, start to record some of my music, and I don't know. I think I just need some projects that will help me get a little more motivated.
It's like impossible without like a deadline or like something.
It's very hard. It's very hard. But I know you. So you're doing Sundays at Nocturne. Is that the month of September?
Yeah, just not tonight, but for the rest of September.
Oh, great! Awesome.
2 sets at like 6:30 and 8, I think.
Can't wait.
That's Mike Marley and Bijou Barbosa.
Amazing trio. I can't wait for that.
I'm excited.
That is killer. And you're playing.
And I'm doing a live stream with my band Specific Ocean on September 18th.
Cool.
For Swallow Hill. So that'll be like on their Facebook or whatever.
Oh, that's gonna be great. I love that band. You guys have such a cool vibe.
We're trying
great name too.
We're trying to release like a full-length album next year.
That's fantastic.
We'll see.
You guys have an EP out already, right?
We have 2.
Oh, cool.
And then we're about to release a single pretty soon called Killjoy, that I wrote after going through like an experience with kind of like sexism. So kind of relevant to what
pretty heavy. I like that. Yeah. Everyone who's just joining missed that part of the conversation.
We're gonna post
Oh yeah, that's right.
We'll post it so everyone can see it. I feel like we can wrap it up unless you have anything else you want to say.
I don't, other than I hope everyone will, check out some of this stuff on Sundays that we're doing. I think Camilla's doing an awesome job, kind of curating this series and leading it. So it's going to be really cool. You can find out, everything that we're doing. We're doing a lot of stuff at CCJA these days. We're doing, some socially distant in-person ensembles and all these online classes. I've been teaching an advanced theory class, which has been like so inspiring. I love doing that. And so if anyone's curious about any of the stuff that we're doing, like so much of it is open to all ages, So if you're a college student and you're kind of looking for some more supplement to what you're learning, or you're taking some time off from college, or you're an adult or whatever, there's like so much stuff. You can check out jazzarts.org, check out what we're doing. It's very exciting.
All right. Well, thanks, Annie.
Well, thank you. And thanks to everyone for joining us. Thank you.
Well, let's hang when you get back.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Okay, bye.